episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers coming at you here. This is the podcast, of course, made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than real producers. And today we have Stephanie Rose as our guest. How are you today?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you here. We featured you, as you guys could see right here, in a previous issue of Tampa Bay Real Producers. Driven by the Dream was the title of the article, and we talked about Stephanie and her brokerage and her team. You guys can check that out, of course, on our website in a previous issue. I forget off the top of my head what issue this even was. We'll have to look that up, but it is in one of our previous issues last year. It was 2022, and so it's been a little while. I'm glad that we could finally meet in person.
Yes,
and dive into your story a little bit more. So it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Stephanie, we usually get started with just kind of a little bit about your background, telling the audience a little bit more about you. So, did you grow up in this area? If not, where were you from? How'd you get to Tampa? And what started this real estate dream for you?
Yeah, so I actually am born and raised in Michigan.
Cool.
Hour north of Detroit, right where Kid Rock is. I don't know if
yeah, there you go.
And I went to college in Kentucky. And then my first job out of college was a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Okay.
They moved me to Missouri, outside of Kansas City. I was there for 10 years. Our company got bought out, so they gave us a year severance package. And my girlfriend, who was also my pharmaceutical partner at the time,
Move the mic a little bit closer to you, just to make sure they can
is that
hear
better?
you. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
She also got laid off as well, and so her husband got a job at Tampa General.
Nice.
So she's like, "Come on down." Well, I would come visit, and I just fell in love.
Of
course, you're flying into St. Pete, Clearwater. I mean,
right.
Come on.
How can you not fall in love?
How can you not? We grew up shoveling snow. So here, I knew I wouldn't have to do that. So I moved here in 2010.
Okay.
And bought 2 houses back to back here.
Just as investments or to live?
Investments.
Okay.
Well, it's one of them to live, and the other one's investment. So I bought the investment on Harbor Island, super cheap condo at the time in 2010, 2.2, and then bought another one right over here down the street. So
nice.
Yeah, and then just
where'd you go to school in Kentucky? Was it UK?
University of Louisville.
Louisville. Okay. Yeah. So those are like a heated rivalry right there, right?
I know. My brother-in-law went to UK.
There you
go. So I worked full time, and I wasn't in any sororities or anything like that. But I worked a couple jobs because I had to pay for college. So
What was your major at school?
Business.
Okay.
Business
so you
management.
Kind of fit that realm. I was actually a business management major myself at UT.
Oh, okay.
Here at University of Tampa. So you came down. I actually I graduated from UT and then went home to New York for 10 years before I found my way down here in 2012. So similar story in a way. So I was here in that last 10 years ago, I guess now. So you've been here since 2010. And did you get started in real estate as a licensed agent immediately, or what was that journey like?
So I did some shadowing, while I was going through real estate school. And my realtor at the time in 2010 said, "Hey, you'd make a great realtor. Have you ever thought about it?" And I never even thought about it. I had investment properties before, but never even thought about it because I bought my first house when I was 22. So I just kept buying, from there. But I kind of shadowed him for a while, for about a year and a half, and then got my license and kind of went off on my own.
Nice. Okay. So this was the agent that got you the first couple of houses?
That was my representing
your initial agent. Yeah. Okay, cool. And so what brokerage were you with when you got licensed?
So I was with Coldwell Banker for 5 years and Keller Williams for 5 years. And then I just opened up my own brokerage last month.
Was that always part of the plan to eventually get your own brokerage? Was that the vision initially, or did that just evolve?
It wasn't till it just evolved.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot.
Yes,
owning your own brokerage is a lot. And, with kids and being married and all that fun stuff, it's just a lot. But yeah, that's kind of I thought about it a couple years ago, but never really, because the people, the folks I was working for, those franchise fees are just astronomical.
Sure.
But then I got this small boutique one out of Fort Myers that approached me here in Tampa, and
Okay, so we'll talk about that too. So you, your first full year as a licensed agent was what, 2012, 2011?
2013.
It was 2013. Okay. Do you remember thinking back on that first year? Because a lot of times people, I think, that check out these podcasts or come to our panels a lot of times are newer agents who are still trying to get into the real producer status of Tampa Bay. Do you remember what that first year was like and some of the challenges that you had to go through and experience? And, what did you learn from some of that?
I do. Coming from pharmaceutical sales, having a 6-figure income, and then going into real estate for my first year, thank goodness I had, a couple bucks in the bank, because you need the money to market and get out there. And, the first couple years for me, I would say for most that I speak to, it was a challenge. But then you build up your business and referral, and then you have a couple more bucks to spend more on marketing, and then get out there more, and then people start to realize your name. But it does take a while.
Yeah.
You know?
When was do you remember any sort of a breakthrough year, or even a moment that was like, you know what? I can now do this. I can see myself being in this full time. I've quote unquote had my win, right? Is there anything like that comes to mind?
Yeah, probably about 4 years into it, because that's when I got pregnant, and about 3.5 years into it, because the first 2 years, you get married and you're trying to figure out, the real estate thing and how that all worked, and getting your clientele and networking. That's a big, huge thing. And then I was pregnant back to back. Yeah, babies are only 16 months
just
apart.
Just add a little bit more chaos into the life, huh?
I know. And then I'd be walking around, with my belly, and it was good, but I didn't every day I just take, as a blessing, and I didn't want to be stressed out for anything, Sure. So, but yeah, really 2018 is when I started my team, the Rose Group at the time.
Okay.
And hired a buyer's agent, a transaction coordinator, and a full-time assistant.
So you were a solo agent for about 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And then were you building the team out of necessity just because you felt like it was enough volume that it was time to scale it a little bit?
Yeah. At the time, in beginning of 2018, I had too many clients that I couldn't service the way that I wanted them, to be serviced. So I had to do something.
Sure. No, that makes sense. And so the initial team building process started with more like a administrative assistant, or how did that process evolve?
I actually did the reversal of what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
You're supposed to hire an assistant first, then your first BA, which is buyer's agent, and then go from there.
Right.
TC and whatever. You can do up to 36 transactions by yourself successfully. But up until then, with small children and whatever, I mean, it's just kind of getting it all together and all kind of, I did a lot of tasks that I shouldn't have been doing. That's the one thing I can say to any new agent. Yeah. If you can, farm it out and let someone else do it and pay them to do it, you can grow your business more that way as well.
Makes sense. So I want to get into some of your brokerage stuff in just a few minutes, but before we skip over some of those earlier years, I wanted to see if we can flush out a couple of the strategies that worked for you to be able to finally get that traction and get some things moving. Were there any specific, whether it was, marketing strategies or just a niche that you found that really became, a passion for you? Like, how would you look back and say, this was a strategy that really helped me get some traction?
Yeah, I was president of my HOA board at the time. And in the beginning, I was like, you know what? I don't want to tell too many people that I'm a realtor. I didn't want to, kind of cross boundaries.
You were a secret agent, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong move, right? Wrong move. The following year, they're like, oh, go ahead and do it. So I started farming where I lived with 1,000 homes. And, to this day, I sell 5 to 10 at least still in that neighborhood. Yeah. It would be 10 to 15, when I was living there. So it's just kind of one of those things that just grow. Yeah. But you do have to market and you do have to get out there. Yeah.
When you were farming in your neighborhoods, what did that entail? Just putting out signs?
Mailers.
Mailers?
Yeah. I lived in an older community where the houses were built in 1972 to 75 range. Yep. And so some of those homeowners were originally the original homeowner. Yeah. So they weren't on social media, they weren't on, Instagram or anything like that. So the old newspaper, the mailers and the newsletter. Okay. Is where I got.
So that's how things started moving. There you go.
And then you just boom, boom, boom from there. Brothers and sisters and, aunts, uncles.
I love that. So you, in your opinion, that niche approach of farming, whether it's a community, a specific neighborhood, that would you recommend that for an agent up and coming to make that a strategy?
Absolutely. I did a ton of open houses in my first 5 years to get your name out there. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times someone said, oh my God, I'm new to the area. Or I'm looking for a house. I don't have a realtor. Would you like to be my realtor? That kind of thing. Sure. It doesn't happen every single time. Yeah. I mean, I remember 2010, when I was shadowing and just sitting, handing out flyers to people, or sometimes people wouldn't show up at all. Yeah. Back in the day.
That could be a little frustrating.
Oh yeah, it was, because I was like, you put out the signs and you're there for 3 hours, but everything comes full circle. You just have to trust the process.
Did you have a lot of doubts at all during all those years about whether you really should be in real estate?
Of course, mm-hmm. Right? Because I missed my, 6-figure income because I knew it was coming in every month. Right. But I knew there was greater things ahead, if I just, kind of bust my butt the first, 5-8 years and then kind of take a breath back a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like there's a lot of agents who don't allow themselves that patience and that time to get through that, right? Because we all know that there's a lot of issues with retention in the agent world, right? I say this all the time at our panels. There was 15,000 real estate agents last year who did at least one transaction in the Tampa Bay market. The vast majority of those 15,000 did less than 5 deals, right, for the entire year. So there's going to be a big chunk of them who won't be around for year 2, right, or year 3. There was actually well over 20,000 licensed agents. So that's over 5,000 people that didn't even do a deal, right, last year. And so when you think about what it takes to be a real producer in the top 500 like you are, and that's why we obviously connected with you and featured your team and what you're about. I mean, there are some specific, obviously marketing strategies are part of the play, but there's also just specific characteristics, I think, character qualities that separate some of the people who make it versus the ones who don't. And some of it is what you just described, like that vision of, I know what I'm doing this for. Right. I'm doing this for something that's bigger than what I'm currently experiencing. A lot of people have kind of the blinders. They don't see that sometimes. And it's good to remind yourself as to what you're putting in the work for, right? What you're trying to build. So now that you've kind of seen some of that success, right, and gotten to the other side, from your perspective, Stephanie, what's the most rewarding thing about being a top producer in your mind? Like, why do you love your business?
There's so many reasons why, right? I mean, they say flexibility. Let's be real. I mean, when your first 5 years, you're working
not that flexible,
7 days. Huh? No, it's not. Let's be real. You're kind of working around your client's schedule, which is fine, right? Because they're working during the week. People are like, I want my weekends and nights off. Well, then this isn't the right job for you,
right?
You can get there. You're just going to need a team to back you up to get there.
Right.
The one thing that I noticed too is just take in my advice to any new agent is take in as much information as you can and pick and choose what works for you and makes you unique. Mm-hmm. All of us are different, right? We all have different clientele. I always be ethical, and my brokerage, which we'll be talking about here shortly, is Self-State Integrity Realty. You have to have integrity.
Good name too.
Thank you.
I love that.
Because if you're just out there to make a quick buck, people know it. And they just, I've been in sales for 25 years, but it's just, they know they can feel it.
Sure.
And it just comes, I want people to come to me organically or referral, because I used to pound on the pavement and knock on the doors and cold call. You can't do that. I mean, you can do that. It's very frowned upon now because, no solicitation. I mean, it's really, plus COVID, it's really kind of changed a lot. So social media is really huge for us. We have over 9,000 followers on our the Rose Group Facebook page that we have. And it takes a while to build up to that. But if you just give valuable content and you let people just be kind of front of mind, and once you're out there, the business starts growing and you get more referrals and you get more business and, from there.
Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of the relationships that you've gotten from your own personal clients, and then now that you are a broker, and I'm assuming a lot of your focus now is on the success of your team rather than just your individual business, unless I'm wrong. Do you still also serve clients individually or no?
I do. I do. We did a soft open last month, and we're just in the transition to get office space, and just to get, all the systems in place and software and learning all that stuff. So it's like you almost have to slow down to speed up, and we're in that phase. And once you get to a point in your career where you feel comfortable, if you don't have something coming in every single day, or you could take 6 months off of work, it's feasible to do,
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first brokerage that you've opened, but you had a team that you were running with your group that was under a different brokerage.
Correct.
Okay. And so are the agents that you had working with you in that group, is that now part of your new brokerage? Have they all come and working with you in this new launch?
So, yes and no. So my operations director and my social media person, yes. My buyer's agent, when 2020 hit, we all had small children and she had to be at home more. And so we kind of parted ways on a really good note. So I'm in the process of building it up again. It just all takes, it all takes time. And plus I'm still, servicing my clients as well. And, and I love to invest too. So it's just one of those things that there's no pressure or stress. for me, because another thing too is just to treat agents with respect that you're working. If I can really say that, it's very important.
Say anything you want.
I don't care if you're brand new or you've been in the industry.
We're
for
about
30,
getting raw here, so
okay, good. For 30 years, I can't tell you how many times people are like, oh, I've been doing this for 30 years. I know. Well, the way you're doing it is wrong, or there's a better way, but just to help other agents. I can't tell you, especially during 2021 and 20 during COVID, there was so many new agents that came on, and we'd have listings, right? You get 40 offers within, an hour, it felt like, the first day. And I can't, they're like, how do I write a contract? Can you help me? Or, they'd ask me, and I'm the listing agent, but, just to be kind and respectful, you know, I can't tell you how many times that I love working with other agents, and then they're so appreciative of your help for training them, even though they're not even with your brokerage and they're with someone completely different. But just people need time, They do. What does your current makeup look like from the team? Do you have agents already? Are you starting from scratch, or do you have agents already on the team? Yeah, so I got my my social media gal. I got her license, so she's my SA, which is a showing assistant. So she does that for me, and she doesn't want to sell whatsoever. She just wants to be behind the scenes.
She's a social media gal. That's her passion. She's a social media
gal, and she helps me with my paperwork, and she kind of wears. I'm training her to do all the hats, so she can train other people once our ball starts getting rolling, again.
Cool.
So that's kind of what, where we're at.
Okay, so it's you and her right now.
It's just her and I and one of my operations director.
Cool. All right. So you're in a recruiting mode, it sounds like, to be able to build up a team. Do you have a vision as to where you want that to go by the end of this year or over the next 12 months? What are some of the goals? Yeah,
we would like 5 producing agents, obviously, like everybody else says, that by the end of the year, we want to offer competitive advantages over folks. And, that's kind of where we want to be at the end of the year. We don't want to be huge. I don't want to have, 100 agents underneath me. I don't, for right now. If God has another vision for me, then I'll take that path.
Always open to something evolving, right?
Always open to new opportunities and things of that nature. So, like I said,
So if an agent wants to maybe hook up with you, like what are you looking for in an agent? What type of qualities? What goes into your process as far as how you would identify who those 5 people would be?
Yeah, so someone who's definitely done 6 or more deals per year on a consistent basis.
Okay.
And then getting it, because you hit that ceiling, right? Once you hit 6 to 10, 6 to 12, the most I've ever done was 51 deals in a year, so. And that was
a busy year, I take it.
It was super crazy, super crazy. But, shut these things. You're fine. You're totally fine. But that's what we're looking for. And we want to, the more I share, the more God blesses me, the more you give back. So that's what we're kind of looking for. Someone who's a go-getter, who, if they've been in the industry a while and they sell 10 homes and they don't want to do anymore, there's no pressure.
Yep.
I mean, all the big brokerages I've worked at over the last 10 years, you sell 10 houses and they want you to do 20, right? So then you do 20 houses and then they want you to do 30, right?
Yep.
And I totally get that. But sometimes we're 1099.
Yeah.
And sometimes agents are very comfortable at 10 sales.
Sure.
And if they want to grow to 50 sales, that's wonderful. But they don't have to, You know what I mean? And I don't ever want anyone to feel pressured, I do want a team player. I do want someone who wants to come to the meetings and such and grow in that kind of sense. But I don't, because we got spiritually, you can grow a whole bunch of different ways, right? And if they want to take 6 months off, I'm
all right with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as they're kind of identifying what success means to them. Right?
Absolutely.
So whether that represents 10 deals a year or 100 deals a year, the idea of making sure that they fit culturally, I guess, with the team and whatever you're building, but are being willing to share in some capacity with the team, I guess, would also add some value and be important, would it not?
Absolutely. I know when I first started out, being brand new and like I told you, shadowing for a year and a half and then going, to certain brokerages, a lot of folks are busy and they didn't feel like sharing because the fear, right? We fear that we're going to lose out on a job or someone's going to steal our client. I mean, I've never felt that way. At the end of the day, it's the client's choice of whoever they want to go with. And I always feel there's enough business out there for everybody. I don't care what year it is, 2010, 2023. There's enough business out there for everybody. You just have to be willing to work for it.
No doubt.
And not give it to you like on a plate, which a lot of people want right away, which I understand.
Yeah, I always find it fascinating when people have the like scarcity mindsets, you know? And I think it's funny because the more people I interview that are top producers, I don't find that trait to be in any of them, really. I can't think of one who has that thought process and then it ends up being successful. But when you talk to agents who are not really top producers and who struggle, I feel like there's a thought process sometimes of like I'm against this other agent, right? It's like a dog-eat-dog world and I got to get mine. And I think that mentality doesn't really resonate with success overall. It's the one you just described, the abundant mentality.
Yeah.
There's plenty of business for everybody. It's about collaboration and working together and really providing great value and customer service. That's where you're running your own race and you grow a brand that people trust. And like you said, that they can, that has integrity, right?
Yeah.
And it can go from there. That's why I like the name of your brokerage. I think hopefully it's a quality that stands out with people.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really do. And you hit the nail on the head. I mean, just you can't think, even if you have a down month, I mean, it's okay because the next month you may get 6 deals, you know, you just never know. And you always just have to keep positive and faith and, you know, and just keep doing what you're doing. It's consistency in our industry. It's not, you know, when you're a pharma rep, you can work 5 hours that day, 10 hours, you're still making the same pay.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
In our industry, it's not that way, you know? And a lot of, you don't want to think scarcity because
you can't.
If you're thinking you're going to make $1 million your first year, I mean, realistically, let's be real. I mean, it happens for some, but it's not very common.
As somebody who's in the process now of building, you know, a brokerage, what do you think from your perspective are some of the biggest challenges that agents face when they're trying to get their business going? Maybe it's something you personally even experienced or you've seen other agents really struggle with. And I don't know if like you feel like there's a plan in place for your brokerage as to how you want to support them, you know, beyond those challenges and get around them. But what are some things that come to mind that you think really hold a lot of agents back?
Well, you know, they always say commission when they, you know, got a listing appointment. They say commission is their number one, objection. Like, hey, you know, we're not, you know, this guy will do it cheaper or this gal will do it cheaper. Know your worth.
Yeah.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, when you show your value, commission, it doesn't matter. It could be 6, 7, 8%. It doesn't matter if you're providing a value and a service that is different from somewhere else. Now, we don't have an industry standard. It could be whatever we want.
Right.
You know, it's up to us because we own our own businesses at the end of the day. But, you know, there's still parts of the country that are still getting 7 and 8% because they held to that standard.
Right.
Right. You get 15, 20, 30,000 agents in a small little area, you know, oh, hey, I'll do it, you know, a percentage less than Don, do the same thing. You know, at that time, it's up to the client, whatever they so choose. But just know your value of what you're getting and, you know, integrity at the end of the day, because you know, I'm not going to, you know, we're not going to do all this hard work for a quarter of the pay. I wouldn't expect a physician or a lawyer or, you know, hey, Mr. Attorney, you're charging $200 an hour, but can you just charge me $50?
Right.
You know?
Totally.
You know, it's just within the industry.
How do you think is best to communicate that to a client? Like you have your value proposition, you lay that out, right? Yeah. And then they get some other agent who comes along and says, I'll do it for, you know, half of what Don's charging. So how do you respond to that if you're the agent and so that you are knowing your worth, but communicating in a way that still helps the client understand why you're worth it? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I have a listing presentation that I go through everything that we do differently, that I do differently than the next agent that comes in. I mean, we offer extra incentives and perks and, you know what I'm saying, you know, help them pack and move and, you know, just other little things to help out where you can, because we have a lot of clients that are elderly and they can't do certain things, you know. So to have a good vendor list for movers and stagers and photographers and, you know, junk haul removal and estate people and all that good stuff is super. But again, that takes time.
Your network,
to build that relationship.
Yep.
You know, but, you know, if someone's just looking for the cheapest, you know, realtor, then go ahead. Those aren't my people. Those aren't my clients.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I think you got to be okay with that sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not designed. You
sales.
don't even want to work with everybody.
You don't.
Right.
You physically, you line up 1,000 people, right, Don? And you say hello to 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. There's going to be one that doesn't like you. Of
course.
Just because you said hello the wrong way.
Right.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And in our industry,
or you went to Louisville and they went to UK. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it's Louisville.
Louisville, that's right.
Sorry. Coming from Detroit and going to Kentucky, I'm like, oh, Louisville. They're like, you're not from here.
Louisville, yeah.
You're from like Michigan or Minnesota. And I was like, oh, okay, kind of. So
great.
I had to learn that right away. Louisville.
That's awesome.
Anyways, if you ever get a chance to go to the Derby, it's a really cool thing.
I would love to. It's one of the things on my list, actually. I have a cousin who goes every year.
Yeah.
And he loves it.
There's 2 ways to go, the infield and the actual seats, the expensive seats. Do both. It's really fun.
That's a good question. I don't even know how they do it, but I know that they've been in the infield.
Yeah.
I don't know if they stay there or not, but they love to party with the
like
hats on.
It's like a Lollapalooza kind of in the infield, by like 10 in the morning. And then the seats.
Do you go every year?
I do not.
Okay.
I did when I lived there. Yeah,
that makes
sense. But I haven't been back in a while because, kids and sports and all that good stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'll have to make that happen at one of these days. I'll have to go with my cousin and have a good little experience. I think that'll be fun. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more, too, about you personally. I love to dive into some questions just to let the audience know you more.
Okay.
Maybe it's even agents who want to learn more about who Stephanie Rose is in case they want to work with you one day. So I know you're from Michigan. You went to school in Kentucky. What are some things that you love to do for fun? What are your favorite hobbies, interests? What keeps you busy when you're not working?
Yeah. Sports. I grew up in a sports, state, and in sports is everything, and I played sports from a young age. So I love to go to sporting events and concerts and, especially us, we're so close to the arena.
Yeah.
And
are you a Tampa Bay fan now with all teams here? Bucks,
I am. Now, of course,
Rays.
if they're playing, Detroit, I know that sounds so weird, but I have both sets of gears.
There you go.
But this is my home.
By the way, I can completely relate. I'm from New York, basically.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I grew up in the Connecticut-New York border.
I'm just joking.
I got all New York fandom.
Is so cool. Yeah,
And,
the Yankees, have
I'm
won.
a Yankees-Giants fan.
Right?
People know it. I'm not bashful about it. But I also have my Bucks jersey and I have my Lightning jersey, and so I'll support the local teams too.
The Lions, I always tell all my friends, the Lions are going to the Super Bowl every year. Yeah, we'll host it.
Maybe this year.
But we're not never there. We're never there.
Hey, I think they're going to be good this year, finally.
Tampa Bay. You want to know an interesting fact, actually? Tom Brady went to U of M.
Yep.
And all my family went to Michigan State, and so I watched Tom Brady play his very first game at the Big House at U of M. So, anyways, but no, sports. I love sports. I bowl with my 75-year-old friends. I sponsor the league. I know. The oldest is 91. I'm the youngest at 45. I sponsor the league. Been there for 8 years. It's not my favorite.
That sounds like something you can fun do with the team, right?
But it was
Take
fun.
A
Well, Tuesday mornings.
Is that the bowling time?
9:30. You got to go early. They're all retired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the only one who works, so I bring my laptop and I work. But those ladies are so good, and they still ask me real estate questions, and we can engage and stuff from that.
Yeah.
What else? I'm in a book club with 10 of my girlfriends.
Really?
Yep. So
what type of books? Fiction, nonfiction?
Whatever we so pick.
Yeah.
I did 40 books last year because I love audio.
Nice.
I do not have time to sit at home because at 9:00 at night, if I sit in my bed and I open up a book, what's the first thing? At one page, I'm already sleeping.
Yep.
So I'm always out driving around and on the road and all that good stuff. So
I'm a big Audible fan as well.
I love Audible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the book club, hanging out with my friends, my family, of course. We try to do a few family trips per year.
You have a favorite place to travel?
The Blue Ridge Mountains is one of our favorite places. We have a place up there.
Nice.
So we go and visit that, try to 2-3 times a year.
Is your husband in real estate too?
No. Well, he helps, he's in one of our operations director. If I've got some, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do I think about that? He's retired military. So, McDill is very near and dear to our heart. We serve a lot of veterans. We love, I love VA loans. I know, over the last, 10 years, I can't tell you how many times I had to explain a VA loan to a listing agent because they don't know. Yeah. And I totally understand that. I totally get it. Yeah. And the realm has changed with VA and all that stuff with appraisers and all that good stuff. I mean, it's really a great, decent, solid loan now. Yeah. But
shout out to Janine Smith. She's one of our partners who specializes in VA loans.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. But yeah, Yeah. So that's kind of, what we do in our team.
And you have 2 boys?
I have 2 boys.
How old are they now?
They'll be 7 and 8.
Okay. So you still got your hands full.
16 months apart.
See, my boys are 7 and 6. And do they fight a lot? Do your boys are constantly bickering and fighting?
They do with each other, but if someone tries to, say something or steal a toy from them, the other brother jumps in.
They got each other's back, yeah.
But they're in this thing now where they like to wrestle and have a good time, and of course, my husband, he laughs all the time. And I'm like, no, stop, be careful. Because I'm the only girl in the house.
Right.
I mean, we had a dog. And of course, bless his heart, we rescue dogs. But he just passed away not too long ago. And he was a boy. And it's like all this, but it's fun.
A lot of testosterone in the house.
Yes. But boys, boom, they cry for
so
a minute.
So they do fight. It's not just my boys.
No. Yeah. It's not just your boys. They fight for a minute and then they're fine.
Because my wife sometimes doesn't know how to handle it, because we have my 2 daughters and now 3 daughters, with our baby and and then my wife, and so she's like, she never grew up with boys. She has 1 older sister, and so she's like, is this normal? Like they're at it sometimes,
I have twin brothers.
I'm like your husband. I just sit back and I kind of like laugh at it, and sometimes I'll join in on the wrestling and play with them and that kind of thing.
That's the way it's supposed to be, right? That's how they learn and grow.
I was like, they're boys. It is what it is. But I was just curious if that's the way it is with all 7, 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, if they're really battling it out that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, they get along most of the time. Don't get me wrong. They're great kids, but they love to go out and we'll throw the football, we'll hockey's a big thing, so we've been doing that, and Cub Scouts and the church and just all that kind of stuff all thrown in together. So yeah.
Where do you guys live now?
We live in Land O'Lakes.
You do? Okay. Yep. Very cool. And so we're in Ballantrae. Are you close to there?
Yeah. I not too far, 54 in Collier. So
yes, it's crazy how much 54 is built up, huh?
It really has. Oh my gosh! Over there. And there's 2,000 more apartments going about right in the Wesley Chapel, right next to the. They're already almost built.
The outlets over there.
Yeah. If you go down Wesley Chapel Boulevard, it's just crazy.
Every time you turn around, there's something else getting built up.
Good for us. We still have folks coming in droves here. Obviously, not as crazy as it was because we have more sellers now, but. It's still, every listing we have, you still have, 1, 2, 3, 4 offers. I mean, it's still, because you have
Is that a niche that you focus on still up in that northern, like southern Pasco County, Wesley Chapel area? Is that a niche for you?
I get my clients a little bit from everywhere, right? Obviously McDill, because we're a retired military family. Google business. Just from having your name out there and stuff like that, and then our Facebook page, and then just referrals. We don't pay for leads. I don't. As is this moment, I don't.
You just decided, huh?
No. Even before.
Gotcha.
The last 10 years, I know.
So you've built it organically.
Yeah, I just want to do it organically, and I know we could scale bigger if we ever decide to do that.
Yeah.
It's just one of my things. You feed the beast, it gets a little bit bigger.
Sure. No doubt. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one day when you have your 100 agents, if you ever wanted to get to that level, then you might
absolutely,
consider some
absolutely.
Things. But you could, with 5, I think you can definitely build an organic strategy that can support them to help them realize the same type of business that you've had. I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's not off the table, but it's one of those things that we pride ourselves on, because it's very hard not do it.
Right.
And there is money lost on the table for not doing it. I completely understand that.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things that we've decided to do right now, and not to say I wouldn't do it in the future, but who knows? It's one of those things.
Yeah. Is there a particular, I know you mentioned your VA passion a few minutes ago. Is there a particular organization or a cause that you guys do a lot of, that you partner with in any way?
Yeah, so Tunnels to Tower is one of ours, which I know you guys really support and host a lot of events for.
Yeah.
Task Force Dagger, which is a special operations for the special operations. It's called Task Force Dagger. And we do the ASPCA, which is for animals, to help get them homes, or animals who have been abused, and then St. Jude's Children, which is a huge thing for people who've, children who have cancer, because I've experienced that with a girlfriend of mine who had a daughter there for many years.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that could be heartbreaking. I can imagine. So is that just something that every deal or something that's in the organization, a portion goes to some of these causes, or do you do events with some of these organizations? Or?
Yeah, so every buyer is different. Every buyer and seller are different. Some are really struggling financially, so I will donate to their charity or school of choice. A portion of every single one that I do. Some do need the money for closing costs, or some do need the money to move, whether it's a job or a death in the family. So I let them choose. But yeah, I tell them the charities I support, and whether it's their children's school or, out of the 4 I just mentioned, they pick usually one of the, because it does touch and affect everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to be heartless and not care about one of those things.
I know, right?
You hit all the good ones, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, couple rapid fire things, and then we'll wrap up with a legacy question, I call it. Okay. So rapid fire, favorite. Do you have a favorite book? You mentioned you love the audiobooks. Do you have a favorite book, or maybe an author, or even maybe like a seminar that you've attended that has made a big impact on you?
Yeah, in the very beginning, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Richard Kawasaki. It really...
Robert Kawasaki.
Huh?
Robert Kawasaki.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I know what the book is.
Okay. Robert. It's by Mr. Robert. But yeah, that book really kind of... And just listening to that really helps... Because we can all get to financial growth.
Yeah.
It's just having a plan to get there.
I love it too. I try to. There's a game too, cash flow.
Yes, I know. I haven't gotten the game. I still wanted to get the game.
Great for kids, especially your boys.
Well, then I'll like
they're getting towards that age where like Monopoly might make sense, and so that cash flow is a very similar concept really to Monopoly. So we have it at the house, and I'm a big fan of a lot of his stuff for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Favorite food?
Oh my. Mexican food. You can't go wrong.
Mexican food
yes,
fan? Okay.
Tacos and a margarita.
I can't go wrong with that at all. Do you have a favorite movie?
Wedding Crashers is one of my favorites. And Couples Retreat. I know
So you're into comedies.
I'm into comedies. I don't like dark, scary stuff. I just don't.
Keep it lighthearted. I completely agree.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world anyways, and a lot of crazy items. So
and anything with Will Ferrell is hilarious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Golden Girls, it's my favorite TV show.
Is that right?
Yeah.
My wife is a big fan of that show too.
I love that show.
Yes. Do you have a favorite character on Golden Girls?
Blanche.
Yes.
Yeah, I like them all.
Yes.
Blanche is one of my favorites. My friends still buy me Golden Girls stuff for my birthday. Which I just like to. It's a lighthearted thing where you can just put it on the background. I've seen every episode. I think 100, 200 times.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things that just kind of. That's my relaxation.
There you go. That's cool. I don't know if a lot of men like to admit that they like Golden Girls, but I do like the show. I mean, it's pretty funny. It's very creative, and it's an older show now, obviously.
It is.
But yes.
I know some of this stuff. See, some of this stuff you really can't say nowadays. But again, was back in the day. It is
good
what
times.
It is. But yeah.
I always liked Rose though in Golden Girls. I mean, I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah, she is. She is.
And I thought with your last name, you'd be all over that, but I don't know.
I'm not related to Pete. Everyone asks if I'm related to Pete Rose, and so no, I'm not.
There you go. All right, last question. Well, 2 questions. So this one, I guess, is a little bit deeper. When you think about your legacy, right? Because, at some point we all come to those moments where maybe your real estate career is done and you're working, and you mentioned earlier the importance of having a vision. What do you think matters most to you, Stephanie, in terms of what you'd want to be remembered for? It could be for business or even just personal. What do you think would matter to you most about the legacy you'd want to leave?
Well, first of all, it'd be more personal than business, because at the end of the day, we can always go out and make another deal. We can go out and sell 10 more houses. Business is always going to be there, right? Family and friends won't.
Right.
So spending time with family and friends and people who really matter, they call it your tribe, your circle, whatever you want to call it. People who make you better, of who you are, a better version of you.
Yeah.
Being kind. I went to a high school reunion not too long ago, and people I haven't seen in 25 years, I think it was, and they're like, Stephanie, you were always so nice to me in high school. I didn't know that at the time. I was just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to have people remember that about you is just really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Absolutely. I wonder what people would say about me in high school. I'll have to
I don't know. We'll get them on.
Check
that
out.
Get them on the show.
That might have to be a whole other episode right there. I don't know. Stephanie, it was great to have you here today. If people wanted to reach out to you, we have different subscribers, of course, but most of them I would think are agents, but we have non-agents too that check out our show and are exposed to the content. What's the best way to reach you and connect with Stephanie if they wanted to?
So they can connect on our Facebook page, The Rose Group Tampa, or my personal cell phone number, which is everywhere. Yeah. It's the 813.
Just Google it.
Yeah, just Google it. Stephanie Rose, Tampa agent. And then our email, therosegrouptampa@gmail.com. But then again, for brokerages and stuff, we'll have other stuff coming up down the road. But for right now, that's the easiest way to get.
And if you're an agent who's looking for maybe a change with brokerages and you want to talk to Stephanie more about what it would look like to be a part of her team, you can reach out to her via those channels as she just mentioned. And so we're going to put a bow on this episode, and how we end every episode here is to challenge you to take one action step that hopefully will move you forward in the direction and creating the life that you desire. So from this episode, maybe it's something that you heard from Stephanie's story. Maybe it's a strategy that you have to implement about organic marketing, or rebranding your brand in terms of a way that you're more aligned with. Whatever it might be, maybe it's just getting an Audible subscription, right? That you can listen to more books in the car and allow that to become your driving university. But find an action step, one thing that you can take from this episode that would have made the time that you took to watch this episode worth it, and let's put it to work in your business and in your life, so that you can gain the value that this is really all about. So we're signing off. Tampa Bay Real Producers. We'll see you on the next episode. Later.